Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Thriving in Childcare Business Self-Assessment for Resilience webinar. I'm really happy that you could join us today. My name is Melinda Escobar. I'm an associate with Civitas Strategies, and I'll be your presenter for today's session. Today, we're going to talk about thriving in your childcare business, not just surviving. So this session is about practical steps that you can take to assess your business, identify areas for improvement, and build long-term resilience. Whether you're running a small home-based program or managing a large center, this is for you. Okay, so let's dive in. Before we do that, before we get into the content, I just want to give you a quick word about who we are. So Civitas Strategies was founded back in 2009 with one mission, and that was to help organizations, especially childcare providers, become more financially stable and sustainable. We work behind the scenes with government agencies and foundations to offer support to providers like you. We've helped programs collectively gain over 1.2 billion, that's billion with a B, in added revenue, cost savings, and reduced risk. And that means more stable providers, more staff retention, and ultimately better outcomes for the kids. Our team of 20 works across the country, and we interact with over 17,000 childcare businesses every year. We've helped programs collectively gain over $1.2 billion. So it's really important because it means that you're never charged for our services. I have to do a disclaimer here. So the information contained here has been prepared by Civitas Strategies and is not intended to constitute legal, tax, or financial advice. The Civitas Strategies team has used reasonable efforts in collecting, preparing, and providing this information, but does not guarantee its accuracy, completeness, adequacy, or currency. The publication and distribution of this information are not intended to create, and receipt does not constitute an attorney-client or any other advisory relationship. Reproduction of this information and recording of this content, including the use of AI, are expressly prohibited. Only non-commercial uses of this work are permitted. Okay, now let's start by tackling a few myths that hold many providers back and talk about the reality of it all. Myth number one is it's too overwhelming. Okay, I don't even know where to start. We hear this all the time. The truth is, every successful provider started with just one clear step. Okay, myth number two, I only need to reassess once a year. Not true. We've worked with hundreds of family childcare providers and programs and centers that are incredibly strong businesses because they know the importance of reassessing their business periodically throughout the year and as changes occur. Okay, and as myth number three, there's no clear roadmap. Everyone has to figure it out alone. That's also false. There is a roadmap, and that's what today's session is about, seeing the pathway clearly. So again, we've had extensive experience working with childcare providers across the spectrum. We've conducted focused reviews of business models in multiple states, ranging from the smallest family childcare centers to large multi-site chains. So this broad perspective allows us to understand the unique challenges at every level. And as I mentioned again, before, we handle approximately 17,000 provider interactions annually, and we've reviewed thousands of tax returns for child care business providing tax education. So beyond childcare, we also support other industries, which gives us valuable cross-industry insights that benefits our clients. And so this depth of experience means that we understand not just the numbers, but the real world operational realities childcare providers face every day. When we talk about resilience, we mean businesses that can weather challenges and come out stronger. Through our work, we've identified 7 key elements that resilient childcare businesses share. They include strong cash flow management, diversified revenue, staff culture and retention, safety and communication, adaptability and professional growth, community partnerships, and technology integration. As we go through each, think about where you feel confident and where you might want to build more strength. Okay, so let's start with cash flow, the heartbeat of your business. It's not just about profit, it's about timing. Resilient providers track their cash flow closely and often, so they know what's coming in and going out. They use just-in-time inventory to help control their cost. And what that means is that you're not overstocking supplies, but having what you need when you need it. If you manage your cash flow, if you manage your cash flow well, you can also pay yourself consistently. You'll be able to handle any emergencies that come up, and reinvest in your business is going to help you grow. That's what resilience looks like in action. Okay, so if you're relying on just one stream of income, say for instance, private pay, you are putting your business at risk. It becomes vulnerable. So resilient providers combine multiple streams, either subsidies, private tuition, they might use the food program, CSCFP food program, they'll utilize grants, etc. Managing debt and understanding taxes also helps you retain more of what you earn. So think of revenue like a table. The more legs it has, the stronger it stands. Okay, now let's shift to your team. Retention matters more than recruitment. When staff feel valued, they stay. And that stability benefits children, families, and your bottom line. We're thinking of continuity of care, right? So you don't need a huge budget to build culture. Recognition programs, time off, professional growth opportunities, all of that goes a really long way. You can ask your staff for input on decisions. You'll see buy-in skyrocket. A strong, positive culture is one of the best investments that you can make in your business. Families trust providers who communicate consistency, who communicate constantly and consistently. Resilient programs make communications part of their daily routine. Morning updates, quick notes at pickup, monthly newsletters, all of those can be helpful in communicating with your families. It's about showing parents that they're part of the team. That builds trust and in turn, word of mouth marketing. Engaged families recruit new families, which saves you time and money on advertising. Change, okay, we all know that change is constant in childcare. Regulations shift, funding changes, family needs evolve. So keep in mind that resilient providers don't fear change. They plan for it. Okay. They invest in their own learning, whether it's through coaching, attending workshops, any type of professional development. This mindset keeps agile and ready for whatever comes next. If you're learning, you're growing, and growth is the foundation of resilience. Okay, so what I want you to remember is that no one succeeds alone. Okay, the most resilient businesses build partnerships with local nonprofits, food programs, small business development centers. A lot of these partnerships, what they can do is they can unlock grants. They might be able to unlock some resources, and you might even be able to find some volunteers. Okay. So they also, what they're doing is expanding your visibility, and not just that, your credibility within the community. You're becoming one of those recognizable community resources. So if you haven't already, you can start by identifying one potential partner you could connect with. And this has been a big thing. We've done a lot of coaching on employee partnerships, employer partnerships, just kind of helping to build in your business with different um, other businesses within your community that have, whether it's staff that, they're trying to retain their staff and it's hard for them to do because there isn't good childcare in the area, reliable childcare. So they're either looking to partner with a childcare for that reason, or, owners need care for themselves. So that's going to help all the parties. It helps the employer, the business, your business, and the families. So partnerships are really big thing that we're pushing, recently. Okay. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is technology. Okay. The best providers embrace tools that save them time and stress, whether that's a childcare management system, a payroll app, tools for parent communication. Technology sometimes is intimidating, but you can always start small, one system at a time. You might use childcare management systems, you might use your phone, tablets, all of those things can help you. When you use technology well, you can gain back hours in your week and strengthen your overall operations. Imagine, having to do payroll and you do that, pen and paper wise. If you have a system or a childcare management system, QuickBooks, something like that, that helps you to do that, that's saving you a lot of time in putting something together as opposed to doing it, manually and individually by hand, right? So using technology is also, we have to get with the times too. Sometimes we're afraid of it, right? I know I am sometimes, right? Um, so yeah, so using technology is really important. All right. So we're going to pause for a minute and we're going to look at these 7 elements, right? Cash flow, revenue, culture, communication, adaptability, partnerships, and technology. Okay, and I want you to think about it. Which one feels like your strongest area and which one might be your weakest link? Okay, think about it for a moment. And what we'll do is you can share some of it in your chat, but hold on to it. Okay. And what we're going to do at the end of the session, we're going to do questions. And so that will be an opportunity for us to talk about it and what you feel, but jot it down. This is a reflection time designed to help you identify where to start when you do your self-assessment. So this is what we're going to talk about. Okay. Hold on to the thought, think about it. You can share in the chat if you'd like. But it's really important because this is why why assessing your business is really important. Okay. So we're going to talk about that. And I see Miss Casey in my camera, Miss Casey Witt, and I see her nodding. So thank you. That means, I can see you. I really enjoy the acknowledgments. So thank you for that. Okay. Okay, so running a childcare business can feel like spinning plates, right? Have you ever seen those where they're on the sticks and they're spinning around? You're juggling all of this stuff. There's always more to do than time to do it in, right? Okay, so that's why self-assessment matters. All right, we're going to talk about, and I will give you a link of the Thrive Pathway Assessment, self-assessment. And what that does is it gives you a simple, structured way to step back and see where your business stands, okay? It uses yes or no questions to pinpoint gaps so you know exactly what to work on first. Okay, now keep in mind, you don't need to fix everything overnight. The point is to just start and get focused with one step. Okay, so that's what we want you to remember. Okay, so here's how it works. And the assessment follows 5 steps. First, you want to gather your financial data. Answer the questions honestly. Okay, so you can tell me all you want, like, oh, I do this, Melinda, and I do that, Melinda, whatever. But because I'm not looking at your stuff, right? I'm not there running your business. But so you can't tell stories to yourself. So you have to be honest with yourself, okay? Review your results, prioritize your top issues, and then create a focused action plan. You want to set maybe 1 to 3 goals at a time. Okay, don't overwhelm yourself because then it just kind of falls apart. And then you put it on the back burner and then you don't do it at all. Okay, and this is really important. So you want to make sure that you stay on top of it. When you use that structure, what it does is it turns insight into action. Okay, it helps you move from overwhelmed, there's too much to do, to actual progress. Okay, so that's what we want you to try and do when you do your self-assessment. Okay, this step is about giving yourself a clear picture of your business's financial health. You should have a working budget, right? That's really important to start with. Um, for me, and if you're a small family childcare or, just a small center, um, a spreadsheet is good, right? But if you have something, even for family childcare, small centers, if you have a working budget, pen and paper, just start somewhere and then keep track of that. As you complete every monthly budget, you're going to develop a cash flow projection. And that cash flow helps you see when money is coming in and when it's going out. So then you can start to plan ahead. Okay. You don't need the fancy software. Okay. In this case, a simple spreadsheet works. Okay. As you start to learn and progress, then you can get fancier, right? But the whole point is to just get one done. If maybe it's not, in a childcare center that is not your place, like that's not your responsibility to look at, that's okay. You can ask questions. You want to know, hey, what's my, what does it look like? A lot of times I would share with employees our budget for purchasing supplies or, you know, um, just payroll things or things that we wanted to do, events or whatever. So as a manager, even if you're not in charge of the budget yourself, maybe it's the owner's responsibility, or you have an accountant in the center. Um, Ask questions and try to learn as much as you can about your budgeting. That's going to help you to get buy-in from the staff as well. So planning for and looking at a cash flow for 6 to 12 months gives you time to spot trends. And that's going to help you to prepare for slow periods and avoid some surprises. And I'll give you another example. As a manager, I had substitute teachers that would fill in spots, right? And so in one part of the year, the beginning of the year, middle, towards the end, the substitutes were going in and I was responsible for the budget. So at some point, my CFO was like, Chief Financial Officer was like, Melinda, you're not bringing in for this month, you didn't bring in as much. And I had an answer. I could explain why. It was during the winter breaks, during the couple winter months when a lot of childcare centers were out, they were closed, and so they didn't need substitutes. So there was no reason, there's no way that I'm going to get any revenue in because my subs weren't working. So when you see that, you can explain. You're going to see trends. You're going to be able to understand that. So for the following year, I made plans, and when I put it into my budget and my cash flow, I knew that at certain points we were going to be short on the money coming in. Say, for instance, at the beginning of the year, when you have an increase of revenue because you're getting new students, or at the end of the year when you lose a lot of enrollments, right? So that you're going to see your cash flow go down. Those are the trends and the slow periods that we're talking about. Okay. All right. So in the beginning, expenses are usually higher and income grows slowly as you build enrollment. So if you're just starting out, or you're uh, it's a new period that for after a change, you're gonna see that the income grows slowly as the enrollment fluctuates. So mapping this out ahead of time, that's gonna help you stay in control rather than reacting to surprises, right? So can you imagine if I had told my chief financial, I was like, oh, I don't know, I didn't know they were going to be out. No, you want to be prepared for those things. So think about where you can get extra funding if needed, so you have a safety net. Okay. This is about setting your business up for stability, not just surviving the startup phase, but growing with a plan. Okay. Um, Looking at your reserves, something like that, building that up as well. Okay, so here I have a list of categories or sections that help you to organize your data effectively. Okay, use these to formally take a screenshot or what have you to formulate clear yes or no questions that are going to guide your next steps in the decision making process. We're going to get into a bit more detail in the slides to come, and I'll give you some sample questions. But as we go over those, try to jot them down again. So at the end, if you have any questions or comments, we can talk about them as well. Okay. So write them down, just, as we go through things maybe you didn't think of, we'll go over those. Okay, here's the sample questions from the financial section. Okay, one, do you have a working budget or 6-month cash flow forecast? Okay. Do you pay yourself consistently using documented methods? Do you have a system in place on how you do your, again, it doesn't have to be the spreadsheet. It could be a notebook, right? A little budget book. I have a budget book. I'm old school. Okay. Any way to document how you're doing that. And then do you separate your business and your personal finances? And what that means is, do you have a business account? And you're, especially like for the family childcare providers, are you using your personal account, or have you taken that step to separate your finances and get your business account? Remember, we are businesses. We're not just childcare providers, we are businesses. So we have those two hats to wear. Okay. If you answer no to any of those questions, you're not a failure. Okay. It's okay. It's a starting point. Okay. It tells you where to focus next. Okay. Next up is risk and operations. Okay. So here's a big one. Do you have liability insurance and facility coverage? Okay. Now remember, you have two types of liability insurance. You have professional and general liability. Okay. And the general liability, that's going to cover, accidents that happen. If a child has to go to the doctor, a book fell on his head and give him a bump, he's got to go to the doctor. That's your general. But your professional is, say, for instance, you have a staff member that, warmed up a bottle of milk too hot and it scalded the child, or you left the child unattended on the playground. Okay. So your professional is going to cover that. And you want to make sure that you have the coverage that you need for those instances, whether, if it should come into some type of litigation, you want to make sure you're covered. Okay. An emergency plan and a succession plan. Okay, an emergency plan, we have tons of those. We know what those are, right? All of our drills, our fire drills, our, hurricane drills, or, all of those things that happen. We know those emergency plans. Um, uh, just to cover, but this is also about financial plans, okay? What happens to your documents? Your say if you're doing your budget on paper and God forbid there's a fire, do you have a backup for those documents? Okay. Are you thinking of other things that could happen, your risks that could happen? A succession plan, okay, is if you decide that you want to retire, or you're going to get a promotion, or and a lot of directors or owners are like, no, I'm too young, I'm never going to retire. Everything lives in our brain, right? So think of a succession plan that might be, what happens if I'm out? What happens? I know what to do. I know how to fill out these forms and make sure these emails go out, and how to lock the doors, and how to make sure that the children are safe. What are our procedures and policies? But do you have that person that can be you when you're not there? And they can't read your mind. So all of those things need to be put somewhere, right? So that plan needs to be in place, okay? And not just that, but those plans that you do have to change or whatever, are your family and employee agreements updated? Are they done? Is that done annually? So, employee, your handbooks, your family handbooks, your parent handbooks, your staff handbooks, all of those, they need to be revisited every year. Any updates that happen. And, I've been working with providers, and, oh, I've been doing this forever. So anything and everything, if it's like, say, for instance, your minimum standards, your state standards, people freak out at some of the things that are in our standards. And it's like the craziest thing, like, oh, you can't bring a cow to school. And it's like, who's going to bring a cow to school? Like, because somebody somewhere in the state brought a cow to school. So those things, you don't think of them, but they if they're in there, then it's happened. So you want to make sure, especially in the course of the time that you're, all those experiences, you need to have something in place to say, this is what you do if this happens, okay? And the reason for that is because you can't grow from a place of instability. You need to be secure in all of those areas, okay? All right. So on the growth and marketing side, we ask, have you updated your tuition rates in the past year? Okay. Do you have enrollment goals? Do you have a referral program for families or staff? Okay. These are the questions that ensure your business keeps pace with changing costs and opportunities. Marketing isn't just about filling spots, it's about building relationships and confidence in your program. Having a good marketing plan helps to ensure the sustainability of your business. Okay. All right, so we're going to kind of do a little poll here, quick show of hands, and I'm going to kind of scan the screen. Let's have a quick show of hands. How many of you have updated your tuition rates in the past year? Let me see. Thumbs up. Oh, I see one, I see two. Let me see who else. I see a few. There you go. Okay, that's good. Good. I see about, okay, three or four. And guess what? In Zoom, if you raise your hand, it will pop up on the corner. So good job. Okay, so there's more than a few. That's good, but not everybody, right? So I'm not seeing everybody. Okay, that's okay. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. You don't, if I can't see you, it's all right. But um, this is one of the most common no answers we see. Okay. A lot of people are like, no, I've had my rates. I'm good. I'm good. But this is one we see a lot, but it's really one of the easiest ones to change. Okay. Simple adjustments can have a big impact on your sustainability. Okay. So I see also some comments, not the rates, but registration fees annually. Okay. So, um, okay, thank you. So think about those things, okay? So we'll talk about that towards the end here in a little bit. Okay. All right. And then the last one, thank you everybody for sharing. I really appreciate that. And then finally, I want to talk to you about technology and professional growth. Okay. So here's a big one. Do you use at least 2 digital tools to save time? Okay, digital tools like, a tablet, a map, a map, an app, something like that that's going to help you to streamline your business, what you do administrative wise. Okay, do you or your staff attend training every 6 months? Okay, do you maintain a website or social media presence? Okay, every yes here gives you back time and it also builds your credibility. Every no points you toward easy wins. Okay, so if you said no, if you said no, sorry, Miss Sherry distracted me because she put, what's time, right? We don't have time. Good one, Miss Sherry. I really like that. Thank you. Because it's true. Like, I don't know what that is. But this is a point. This is a good comment that you made that, Miss Sherry, because we want you to find ways to do that. There's a lot of ways that you can do that, right? So those are the if you don't, those are going to help you to make those changes. Okay? All right. So here's the key takeaway. Your first no answer is your top priority, and your next no are the ones to follow. So you can prioritize them, right? Start there. Pick 1 to 3 small specific goals and focus on those. Okay. Just take that initial step. That's what you want to start to do. Building resilience is about steady progress, not perfection. Okay. Every improvement you make, that strengthens your foundation, right? Imagine you have a house and you don't have a strong foundation on it. What's going to happen to your house? Think of your business as that house. What's going to happen to it? It's going to fall, right? So you want to make sure that that foundation is really strong. Okay. So keep that in mind. Okay, so you might ask yourself, when do I reassess? When do I do this? When's a good time? What I want you to remember is that reassessment is not a one-time thing. Part of being a resilient business and business owner is realizing that reassessment is a habit. And it's one that should and can be incorporated into your routine. So you can figure out a timeline that works best for you annually, and you want to do it every 6 months, or especially after any major changes in your business. Okay. So you want to think about that. Okay. We're going to go over some more of that. As your business grows and evolves, everything from enrollment and funding to daily operations and strategic goals will naturally shift over time. Regular reassessment, that's essential because it's going to allow you to identify any new opportunities. It's going to help you to mitigate potential risks. You might find something that, implementing something is going to going to cause something that could cause a risk. And that also is going to help you make informed decisions, and you're going to feel confident when you make those decisions. So this process isn't simply about addressing current problems, it's about proactively planning for sustainable growth and then your long-term success. Whenever your organization, your company, your business faces major changes, these are critical moments to stop, to pause, and comprehensively evaluate your entire operation to ensure your position for continued progress. An example might be that you have a new policy, and I think of one when I was a director back in the day. We did this thing where teachers were going to do a signing in or attendance check as the children were coming in, right? And you think that sounds great. All the teachers are gonna be doing this, but then um, we didn't think about what actually happens in the classroom when children are coming in, right? Or when children are arriving. Some of them are crying, some of them, things are not, mom's got to give you something. And so we were asking teachers because we didn't think about what is actually going on. So we set this procedure and protocol in place, but it wasn't functioning right. So we had to go back and reassess it. We had to think, okay, we've got to think of something different, right? So that's an example, small example, but this is what we're talking about, okay? All right. So I mentioned those changes, right? So major changes in your organization, those can take many forms, and each represents an important trigger for comprehensive reassessment. Okay. Facility or licensing changes, such as expanding, if you relocate, if you modify your license, your type or capacity, So those of you that are family childcare providers and you decide, hey, you know what? I want to open up a center. I want to expand and I'm going to open up a center. You're not going to have the same um, policies and procedures that you would for your home childcare than you would for a center, right? So those are the things that you have to consider. All of that can significantly impact the operations, okay? If you have any financial shifts, say for instance that you take out a loan or you get a grant, you secure new funding sources or experience any revenue fluctuations, all of those can require careful evaluation of your business model. Okay. So you have to think about, how the money is coming in, how it has to be utilized, different things, changes in enrollment. Okay. If you change your capacity to where you're going to accept more, you're going to have to open up a new room. You have to look at all of the licensing stuff for that. So you have to go back and reassess. You're not going to be able to use um, the same systems if things are changing. So whether you increase or decrease, all of those things, enrollment, staffing levels, that directly affects your capacity and service delivery. So you want to make sure that you're covered. Program expansion or contraction, such as adding or closing classrooms or services, reshapes your organizational structure. Um, External factors like market or policy shifts, including changes in family demand, regulations, or local funding streams. Imagine if, you're a childcare center and one opens down the street and around the corner. Okay, that's going to change something. And those two can alter your competitive position. Okay, and finally, we're going to go back to the technology or systems upgrades. They introduce new operational financial tools. Those require assessment to ensure that they're properly integrated and delivering expected value. Okay. Let's just say you're using a childcare management system, the different ones that are out there, and you no longer, now parents are going to sign in with the thumbprint or a code. And so you don't have to sit at the front desk anymore because you do that. Family childcares, you're going to take your notebook budget and put it onto a spreadsheet and use QuickBooks. Okay. All of those things, as you can see, a lot of changes can happen that would require you to go back and really think about how things are going and then help you make decisions about the direction your business is headed and how you want to sustain that. Okay. So remember, every resilient business started with one change. You don't need to do everything now right away. You just need to start. Okay. Resilience isn't built in a day, it's built over time. So if you're putting in the consistent effort and self-assessment, you'll be heading in the right direction. So remember to celebrate progress, not perfection. It's kind of like how we do with the kids, right? We praise them for effort to get the job done. It's that simple for us business owners and managers as well. So once you get started and take the first step, you're doing good. So then you can kiss your brain, right? Kiss your brain. Everybody kiss their brains, right? And I love that only childcare providers are the ones that do that. If I tell that to business people, I say, kiss your brain. They just kind of like laugh. I'm like, you're crazy. Who does that? Childcare providers, teachers, right? Okay. So, okay. So as we wrap up here, there are 3 takeaways. Okay. 1, there is a best practice model for childcare resilience. Okay. 2, you can achieve it with support and focus. And 3, doing a self-assessment, what that does is it gives you the roadmap to start. Okay. If you take one thing from today, let it be this: resilience isn't luck. Okay. It doesn't just happen. It's built through intentional, informed action. Okay, got it? Okay, so let's see thumbs up there. Everybody kind of got it. Yes, awesome.
Now
Okay,
say
good.
that one more time about our resilience is built. I like
Through
that. Say that again.
that resilience isn't luck. It's built through intentional, informed action. Okay? Resilience isn't luck. It's built through intentional, informed action. We're prepared, right? Knowledge is power kind of thing, right? Okay. So when you get back to work here, I'm going to give you a link here. Give me just a second. I'm going to give you a link. And this link, let me get to the right one, is for you to download this assessment. Let me see here. Hold on. Okay, there it is. And I don't want to close that window, so I'm going to move that over. Ooh. And I'm going to put it into the chat so that everybody can go there and look it up. Did everybody see the link in the chat? Give me another thumbs up. Yes, thank you, Miss Sherry. Okay. All right, let me get back up here. You can see my stuff. Okay, so when you get back, complete it honestly. Okay, identify your top priorities and take action this month. Okay, well, it's you can't do it unless you do it before 5 today, right? Because today is the 31st. So in the next couple of days, right, you're starting a new month. You're going to start fresh, right? So and if you want support along the way, you can always reach out. I'm going to show you how. That's exactly what we're here for. Okay, so everybody got the link in the chat. Okay,